Welcome to The Sky's the Limit with host Dee Brown, the president and CEO of the P3 Group, the nation's largest minority public-private partnership real estate developer. Here's Dee.
Welcome to this episode of Self-Made with Dee Brown CEO. Thank you for joining me. My next guest was born in Pensacola, Florida. At the age of 8, he played his first organized football game on a team that was sponsored by the Salvation Army. He attended Escambia High School in Pensacola, Florida, where he played high school football and ran track. During his high school football career, his team won 2 state championships, and he rushed for 106 touchdowns and 8,804 yards. At the time, that was the most yardage in the history of American high school football. He played 3 years at the University of Florida in Gainesville, racking up 58 school records before being selected in the first round of the 1990 NFL Draft by the Dallas Cowboys. He soon established himself as one of the league's premier running backs. He was named NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year in 1990, and the following season ran for 1,563 yards to capture the first of his 4 NFL rushing titles. His impressive resume includes 3 Super Bowl championship rings, 8-time Pro Bowler, first in the NFL history to rush for more than 1,000 yards in 11 consecutive seasons, induction to the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 2010, and on October 27, 2002, he surpassed his hero, Walter Peyton, as the NFL's all-time leading rusher. He also added Arthur to his list of accomplishments, publishing Game On, which outlined the principles that helped him succeed both on and off the field. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome a gentleman that I'm proud to call my friend and brother to Self-Made. Emmitt, glad to have you.
Dee, how you doing, man? It's good to be on your show.
Hey, Emmitt, I'm excited to have you on, man. This is one of my first episodes that I'm shooting, so I'm glad that you are able to be part of this story with me. I'm going to roll right into the show. So, Emmitt, first of all, you were born in Pensacola, Florida, May 15, 1969. We've talked about it many times. My son, Brandon, he shares the same birthday, so that's quite a coincidence there.
Right.
I know your family lived in the projects until your mom and dad, with the help of your grandfather, helped you move into your own 3-bedroom home where you had to share a bedroom with your 3 brothers.
Right.
Talk to me briefly about your childhood and some of the challenges and hardships you had to go through.
Well, Dee, first and foremost, you don't realize what kind of hardships you have had in your life until you have something different or something better. And it's not really hardships at the time because you're living amongst your family members and you're going through life, and this is what you know. And what you know is great at the moment. This is it. This is the best of the worlds that you can actually have. And so but there were still challenges now, even amongst family members, as most families will have, whether it's my grandfather getting off work on a Friday night and having a 5th of gin and drinking a lot of gin and having a good time, or whether it's my father on his CB radio station interrupting everybody's television around in the neighborhood. So you're watching a favorite show and here come your daddy on the CB radio station interrupting that, or whether it's mom getting home late at night after working at a taco stand and bringing food home when she's getting home by 10 o'clock. And beyond that, you had to deal with other elements of what society had to offer, whether it's, as they would call them, the night walkers, as well as you're dealing with some drug stuff around in the neighborhood, some gang, not necessarily gang, but you had some corporals in terms of people fighting, people stabbing, people shooting, just different types of things that you had to learn how to deal with. But life was good, and you learned how to maneuver through certain things and not only maneuver through it, but distance yourself from it. But the thing that my brothers and all of us gravitated to was sports. It was the one thing that we all had in common. From my mom, who loved the game of football, my father, who played football, my cousins, who were all football players, whether they played quarterback, linebacker, wide receiver, you name it, they did it. And so my brothers and Eric, Emery, and I, and we all kind of went in their footsteps. And so life was good as we know it at that time, even having government cheese and pot of milk,
Right.
you name it. That's all that we knew.
Right.
And then when you learn something else, then you start to realize there's a significant difference than the haves and the have-nots. And but you have great appreciation from which you come from.
No, I agree with you 100% because I come from similar circumstances, so I can relate to the times growing up, and we never knew that we were any different than anyone else. We would
Exactly.
go on vacation, pack up a cooler with Coca-Colas and chicken
And sandwiches.
and sandwiches and stay with relatives when we get there. So I understand completely. But now I heard this story about you wearing your clothes inside out growing up. tell me about that. What's that all about?
Yeah, when you playing football in the park and you playing sandlot football after school, which we did quite a bit. One day I came home and there was grass stains all over my clothes, and my mom was hot because she had to wash them again and so forth and on and on. And she didn't want me to do that. And so what I did was I tried to get smart. I turned my clothes inside out and go play football. And then by the time I went home, I flipped them on the other side. So she wouldn't know. But eventually she still found out that I was out there playing football in my school clothes. And when you don't have the resources, you make do with what you have.
Right.
And, the one thing about growing up during, I want to say our era, is the fact that we were very, very creative. We were told to get outside in the summertime and stay outside until it started to get dark. Be home before the street lights come on. So you get creative. You find things to do. If we could not afford a basketball rim or basketball goal, guess what we did? We took the tires off of a bicycle, knocked the spokes off, and nailed it to the back of a tree, and we shot basketball.
Right.
If we didn't have a football, but we found a tennis ball or a balled up piece of paper, put a can in it and wrapped it up in paper and everything else and taped it down. Then we had us a football that we played in the street with. So we found ways to entertain ourselves and we found creative ways to develop the skill set to even think about becoming an engineer or something of that nature. So we were very creative, and that to me was part of my creativity, by not getting in trouble, by turning my pants inside out so my mom did not know I was out playing football in my good school clothes.
That brought back a lot of memories. When I was growing up, we used to get a milk crate and we'll nail it to a tree, and that's what we used for a basketball goal.
Yeah.
I can relate to all those creative ways we used to find to have fun. But
Yeah.
growing up, I know you always dreamed of playing for the Dallas Cowboys, but in order to make your dream a reality, you had to own your craft. What
Right.
does that mean to you, just really owning your craft?
Well, first and foremost, I would tell anyone that has any desire to find or to reach a level of greatness within their own mind. It's a process. It's not, and it is a journey. And there is no straight lines at all. There is a zigzag road up a steep, steep hill. And the reason I call it a zigzag road up a steep, steep hill, because you have to go through the process of developing not only the mental toughness that's going to be required to go through things that life is going to deal you along the way, but the steepness is going to help you develop the muscle strength and the endurance to continue to push yourself to another level of greatness. Um, and the process is not for everyone. And you're gonna have to learn throughout the entire process that everybody cannot go where you're going, and you're gonna have to drop some people off. And if you don't have friends around you that are pushing you and challenging you to become the very best, then you don't have a great group of friends at all. You really have folks that are following, trying to do the same thing. You know, when you're in a bad group, when everybody's is telling you you're doing great and nobody is challenging you or
Right.
no one is pushing you. And everybody just, yeah, you're right all the time. No, you're not right all the time. And so you have to learn how to weave yourself through this maze of life, gather the knowledge where you can gather the knowledge. If you're the smartest in your group, you're in the wrong daggone group. You need to
Right.
get to another group. So that whole process of getting to where I am now, there are so many men and women that have poured into my life and poured into it at the right time, whether it's my mom and dad giving me the advice that they gave me before I became who I am on the public scene, or whether it was great coaches that gave me advice as I was playing a game of football, even at a young age, all the way up to where I'm at to this day. It truly takes a village, to be honest with you, to help shape all of us into the men and women that we're trying to become, that positive village. The ones that are going to tell you you're doing wrong, and the ones going to also tell you when you're doing right, and the ones that tell you you need to be humble because you're walking around with a level of arrogance. And you need to lower, you shouldn't be expecting certain things. You need to go earn the right to get whatever it is that you're trying to get. And I've had a lot of those folks in my life, and I'm so thankful for them because it's those things that have afforded me the opportunities that I see that's laying out before me right now. And I see the world through the lens of sports and through the eyes of the folks that have helped shape me into the man I am right now.
Yeah, you touched on a lot of important things there, and I know that growing up, your family, experienced financial hardships sometime, and that so much so to you, I think made a deal with your mom to where you got a job so that you could have extra things, and you tell a story about loaning your mom $200 and
Yeah.
not getting paid back. I thought about it, I said, she must be some kin to my mama. but
Yeah.
but talk to me about taking that leap from really going from nothing to being what I would call self-made.
It's funny because when you come from humble beginnings, the way you and I have come from, and you learn things, and those things are through the eyes of the people that you grew up with. And when you don't have much to invest in, you don't even have the conversation around the dinner table about investing. Yes, you have the conversation around the dinner table about business and everything else, but no one in your household really knows how to even start a business, let alone run a business. No one in your household have the expertise or the business acronym that's going to be required to have a successful business. They have the acronym of being a entrepreneur and being a small business, maybe a mom and pop business. But how do you grow a business to a multi-million-dollar machine and an organization that continues to thrive? What do you know about investing in yields and returns? Yes, you know about CDs. Yes, you know about taxes. Yes, you know about maybe some bonds, but do you know about stocks? Do you know about investing in real estate? Do you know what the yields and the returns and the risk factors really are? That was not a topic of conversation at the Smith household around the dinner table, not at
Right,
all.
right.
But you know, when you go from 0 to 100 in terms of finances, you go from college to $1 million, and then you realize that $1 million is really not $1 million. It's only $1 million on the surface, but after you pay your taxes, it's about 640
Right.
or 740. And that's when you realize that, hey, there's a lot more to just making money and saving money. Because at that time I saw the world through the lens of my parents and my grandparents, taking 600 or $740,000 or $1 million and putting it into what one would call, from my perspective, would have been a CD or a bond. But in at that level, you're introduced to different types of investments. You have your balanced asset allocated portfolio of stocks and bonds and so forth. But then you also have this category called alternative investments, which means that yes, you can invest in other high yielding things that can return the yield, but also the risk that comes along with it. And in some cases, some folks have enough capital to where they create their own private equity money and private equity funds that they invest personally in certain businesses. So all those things I had to learn. I had to learn throughout the years that I was playing professional football, but my focus was on my craft and owning my craft and mastering my craft and becoming the best version of myself on the football field. But what I learned was that there is a balance between the two, and you do have enough time to really engage with business leaders around your community, learn different things that you otherwise would not have learned when you was back 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years old, even going through college. And you start to see the world through different lenses of the folks that you are around. That's why I say if you are the smartest one in the room, you're in the wrong room. You need to elevate yourself to the next level rooms. And if you got folks that is willing to come with you, then you bring them with you. Because everybody should want to gain knowledge from people who've been there, done that, and 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 that's the way I've always been. I've always been a sponge. I want to soak it all up. I want to understand what I don't know. I
Right.
want to be able to apply the things that I do know, and the things that I'm learning from others to who I am and own it for myself. So I can not only go fishing, but I can also teach others how to fish.
Right. Well, you know, financial literacy is still a very big issue in this country, especially in communities of color. And so those conversations that you're describing are not being held around those tables. And so that's something that you know, we really need to give a lot of attention to. I want to pivot back to your football career for a second. I know that Walter Peyton was your hero. On
Mhm.
October 27th, 2002, you broke his record to become the NFL all-time leading rusher. Walk me through that moment. How did you feel?
I can't tell you how I felt without telling you how I felt when I first met Walter. I met Walter in like 92, 93 here in Dallas at a Doak Walker Award ceremony. And I got a chance to stand up close to him and measure myself in terms of height and speak to the man that I've idolized since I was in high school and so forth. And he was about my height, about my size, and which gave me the confidence that I could do the things that he was doing in the National Football League. But I had to ask all kinds of questions. I was an inquisitive individual. Um, I asked him about his workout regimen. I've heard about it. I read a little bit about it. I saw a little bit on you know, NFL, ESPN. They showed his workout regimens and stuff, running the hills of the deltas of Mississippi to prepare himself physically. So I had to ask all those kind of probing questions to gain as much insight from a guy that I admired so much and had a long NFL career, because I wanted to have a long NFL career too as well. And so having that dialogue with him just fueled me to want to break the record even more. And you know, having a conversation around how do you take care of your body, especially during the course of the season. Then how do you take care of it during the off season? How do you eat? What do you put in your body? What don't you put in your body? How much rest you get? How often you work out? What type of workout outs do you do? When you get older, what kind of adjustments you make? How often do you run in a day or run throughout the week? All kinds of things. And how do you recover? Massages, chiropractic, et cetera, et cetera. Those are things that we had conversations around. And then how do you carry yourself off the field? I mean, when you're in the crowd, how do you manage the success that you actually have? How do you keep things in perspective? How do you deal with family? How do you all just questions, just opening myself up and being humble enough to go and ask for things and knowledge that I did not have and wanted to have, just in case I encountered it along the way. Therefore, no one could ever say that they never gave me that advice. And so the day that I broke the record, I carried with me on that football field his spirit, because he passed away in 98, 99. And and he and I had a conversation that same Doak Walker Award ceremony. And I told him, I asked the question. I said, "Who do you think can break your record that's playing today?" He said, "Well, there's two guys that can actually do it." He believed. He believed Barry Sanders was one, and I was the other. And my comments to him was, "I don't know what Barry Sanders won, but I want to become the all-time leading rusher, and I want to honor you in that process." So that morning when I woke up here in Dallas, and I've been going at it for weeks now, trying to get to that place to overcome and break the record. I woke up with a sense of pride. I woke up with a sense of humility and excitement, but yet I was calm. And I walked on the football field. I walked on the football field with his spirit in my heart. And I knew in my heart this was the day that it had to go down. Because God don't make any mistakes. Let me put it to you that way. He could have set it up where I broke it on the road, but he didn't. This was our last home game for about 2 weeks, and the pace I was running that year, I would have, if I didn't get it today, I would have had to break it on the road. And I felt like his purpose was for the city of Dallas, the state of Texas, and all Dallas Cowboy fans around the country to experience that moment in Texas Stadium, not knowing what the future of Texas Stadium would even hold in terms of Jerry knocking it down and moving it to Arlington. And so when I walked on the football field that day, I was excited because I know my mom and dad, my friends, all of them had come into town. Walter's family was in town. And so there was great expectations all around it. And when I broke the record, it was a bittersweet moment because I wanted my hero to be there with me to celebrate with me on top of my family. But I embraced his brother Eddie, his mom, his son Jared and Brittany and Connie. Embraced the whole entire family because I wanted them to be there so I could honor them in this whole moment, because passing the torch is exactly what it is. And honoring the people and the giants the shoulders that we're standing up on, that's exactly what it is. And that's what I wanted to do.
That's an amazing story. So Emmett, you have a partnership with Hedador Tequila.
Mm-hmm.
How did this partnership come about?
This partnership came about while I was doing Dance with the Stars. I was at the L'Ermitage Hotel where they put me up at, and I went down to the bar and I wanted some tequila because I had just started drinking tequila back in 2000. And I went for what I knew at the time, which was Don Julio. And they didn't have any. And the bartender suggested that I try Hedadura. Never had it before in my life. And so I tasted it. I'm like, okay, this is good. So I called my marketing people, Tom George. I said, Tom, I found a tequila. Because when Tom and I traveled together, we would go sit down and find tequilas and we would drink tequila. And so I told him about this tequila. Little did I know that Tom was working in the background. Tom called me about 3, 4, maybe 5 months later, said, listen, I got something for you. I found a tequila sponsor for you. And so we're going to get this endorsement. So I started endorsing Hedador Tequila in 2010. And it started right when the Cowboys were about to open up they opened up the new stadium, but they were about to host the Super Bowl right here in Dallas in 2010. And it's the year I'm getting ready to go into the Hall of Fame too. And so that's how the relationship started. Now, 11 years later, the relationship is strong and still going. And they have made my own special barrel called MS-22. And it's a fine reposado, bro. It really is. It's good. And so, but yeah, that's how I got into the tequila space. And the amazing thing, since that time frame, I've seen so many others jump into this tequila space. So when George Clooney got in with his tequila and so forth and on, this space has grown so much. But I tell you right now, I will put Hedador Tequila, especially Ultra and Yeho, up against just about any tequila on the planet.
Okay. Well, I'm kind of venturing into the tequila space as well.
I can't wait to taste yours.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, so I want to talk about your company, 413 Solutions.
Yes.
You're currently overseeing the design and installation of a solar project for my company, the P3 Group, at Southeast Arkansas College, as well as other places around the country and the Caribbean. Southeast Arkansas College is a minorities serving institution, and this project is going to offset a significant amount of electrical consumption over the course of the 30-year agreement, saving the college somewhere in the neighborhood of $3 million over the life of that agreement. Through your company, 413 Solutions, you have projects like these that are impacting communities around the country. Tell me more about 413 Solutions and what your goals are for this part of your legacy.
Okay. Well, like anything else that I've gotten involved in, if I don't believe in it or have passion for it, I'm not really going to do it. With 413, it was something that it was in the energy space, and I have yet to do anything major in the energy space until I ran into a few relationships that I've been cultivating over the last, call it, year and a half. And so, or a year and a half, almost 2 years. And so through that process, I recognized that there were tremendous opportunities in the solar energy space. There were the deregulated markets and so forth. And we wanted to enter into this space. Well, fortunately for me, I ran into a relationship through my son EJ and the school that he went to, high school he went to, and that relationship and I talked some more about it, and then out of that space, I was like, okay, we need to have a minority company in this particular space, and I want to be that minority company, and so I did it. We found a couple of projects to work on. We brought in some high caliber individuals to help us, and off and running we are. And and through that relationship, I was able to foster other relationships that came out of that relationship. So now we're trying to serve and cut energy costs and take the savings that we actually have and through the relationship we have with not only your firm but others, the consortiums that we're working with, we're able to do a number of different things for a lot of HBCU schools and also for not necessarily just HBCU schools, but also for companies who have high energy consumptions or buildings that have high energy consumptions and transform those energy consumptions to savings by adding in solar with its own rooftops, also coming in and revamping the HVACs and also the lighting systems and adding solar panels and on parking garages, parking decks, and so forth, just to create enough energy there to where there's plenty of savings down the road, and that's what we're doing, and we're off to a good start. This year we're expecting a pretty strong year, and this year will be a great year to set the foundation and continue to build upon that going forward.
And so you also, Emmett, have a real estate arm, E. Smith
Yeah.
Legacy.
Hmm.
E. Smith Legacy and Impact Investor American South Real Estate Fund arranged construction financing for the
Hmm.
renovation of the 4315 Innovation Center in
Yep.
southern Dallas.
Yep.
Tell me about that project and how that project is impacting the community there.
Well, that project we actually went and bought the 4315 building out of foreclosure. And it was about a 30,000 square foot building, refurbished it, repositioned it, brought in Dallas Community College, UNT Dallas, Circle GX, which is a broadband company. We pretty much have, and Circle GX doubled their space, so we pretty much leased up the whole entire facility. Now with the colleges, this is where impacting the community becomes very important. Um, Workforce development programs is inside of this building to help the community and help people of color and other folks who ever want to come in to these programs to get prepared for the next level of job opportunities that are coming down the pipe. We just talked about 4315, 413 solutions, just talked about 413 solutions in terms of the energy. Well, we have to have people to put these solar panels on roofs. We have to have people to operate and maintain these solar panels. Cars are transforming, becoming more energy saving, and these cars need to be worked on. So there's opportunity to learn how to deal with new technology coming down the pipe for people of color, so they can position themselves for job opportunities that's just around the corner. And if we don't do that in our communities, we're going to continue to have the financial gaps, the digital divides that we actually have, and our kids and families going to continue to be left behind. And so, for us as an organization, it's important not only that we improve the community, but we make it better than it was when we first got there, and we leave something behind that's everlasting and transformative.
Hey, that's that's what I'm all about. In my business, I'm looking to do projects that transform communities, build legacies, make a difference in the lives of people. I say all the time that the projects we do are not really what you would consider the sexy real estate developments, but we're opening projects where people cry,
Right.
when you open them, because it's going to impact their lives.
Right.
To close out the interview, I always say the best for last. So, as you know, I'm a proud life member of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity, and you are a member of Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity. And from my business and personal life, my fraternity relationship has been significant in my both social and business development. How has Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity impacted your life?
To be honest with you, it has impacted my life from the standpoint. Let me just give you a little history on mine. See, I didn't pledge when I was in college. I went back to school and I pledged for a semester. So I didn't really get the I didn't get a chance to immerse myself into everything that the organization is all about. But scholarship and service is part of who I am. That's part of my DNA. So I just extended what they instilled in me in that semester. I extended it to what I do on a daily basis, and that is try to serve our communities in the best light that I possibly can and be a positive impact or a positive influence on our culture and represent us in a way that people can never say that there aren't any quality African-American men or women out here doing quality work.
Right.
And so my fraternity, I was talking to my fraternity brother, my big brother, Mike P, this morning. And so staying in contact with my folks, and being invited not only to conclaves and things of that nature, things that I truly aspire to do. But when you have 5 kids, 2 that are still in college right now, 1 is about to get ready to go to college, and an 11-year-old that you're raising as well, and the businesses that we're talking about, there's only so many places that I can be at one time. So it's not that I'm not engaged with my fraternity. Being financial is extremely important to the financial to the fraternity itself. But the relationships that I fostered over the years in my fraternity as well as our sorority has been paramount. Just great people, and I enjoy our time together when we are together. But I'm on a mission
Right.
I'm on a mission to make the fraternity proud as well as we go out and transform communities and bring the fraternities in, so people get a chance to know, have a place where the fraternity itself can get back to the community.
Absolutely. And on every show I do, including my podcast, I always, whenever I have a fraternity, a member of a fraternity or sorority on, I always want to highlight and showcase that, because the work we do in terms of community service and achievement should be highlighted. Emmit, thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Self-Made with Dee Brown CEO. Thanks to all my viewers for watching. Without you, there's no me. Have a great day. See you next time.
This has been The Sky's the Limit with Dee Brown, CEO. To find out more about Dee, go to dbrownceo.com or Google Dee Brown CEO. To connect with the P3 Group, check out thep3groupinc.com. The Sky's the Limit is a self-made TV original production.